Great. I see we've got a few people here, so let's get going. Last time we were doing the melody from Mussorgsky's Night on a Bare Mountain, which is a beautiful flute solo that we have. Today, we're going to have a look at a couple of other aspects that appear in the piece, which are perhaps overlooked because they're not as interesting musically, perhaps, but they provide a good framework for technique. And we're going to do those today. And as always, we're going to start with a bit of breathing, just because I think that really helps set everything up. And it's going to be related to the exercises that we do. Hi, Rachel. So yes, let's start with a bit of breathing. And what we're going to do first with the flute will be some bell tones. Those are basically where you have an attack and decay on a note, just like striking a bell. And that appears towards the end of the Mussorgsky, where it has to really sound like a bell. So to get that quality is quite important in the piece. But also in general playing as well, we have lots of examples of bell tones. So we're going to work on how we use our air for that first. Hi, Diane. So we're going to blow out for 6 beats, quite gradual, like 1, 2, about this speed, and then just breathe in for 2 beats. So try and use as much air as you can in the 6, so that when the air can come back, you're not having to force it back, it just comes back for you. So really try to use all your air as much as possible in the 6 beats. Okay, so we're going to blow out for 6 and then breathe in for 2. Ready? Okay, so I'm breathing through my nose. You can do it through your mouth if you want, but I often find if I've got enough time, like 2, then it encourages a nice deep breath. And it's not something we often do in the heat of the moment. We don't think about breathing through the nose. But if you have time, I think it's the best one, and it's a nice relaxing breath, especially when you get nervous before something like an audition or playing a big solo in a piece. Your heart starts to go, and when you breathe through the nose, it just encourages a nice relaxing feeling. Okay, so that was 6 and 2, and then the bell tones come in 3 beats as well. So we're going to practice blowing out for 3, but then you only get 1 beat rest. So it's like a 4/4 bar. You have 1, 2, 3, breathe. Okay, so let's try that one. So same kind of thing, but 3 and 1. Ready? So try and use all your air again, just in the 3, so you're using even more quickly than the 6 beats, but then you haven't got much time to get the in-breath. But if you do use all your air, then the in-breath will come back. And that time I tried to use the nose first, but I think it was a bit too quick. So mouth breathing for the 1. So when you've got the 2 beats, maybe try nose breathing. 1 beat, try with the mouth. Now we're going to extend that a little bit. So with the 6 now, we're going to do, we're going to pulse the air out quite strongly, and this encourages the activation or engagement of the diaphragm and the psoas and all that sort of stuff down there, which just helps the air wake up a bit. So we're going to go like saying FFF, or you can use shh or whatever you like, just to get that air really. You can think of ch as well, anything like that. So we're going to do 6 of those, and remember you've got to get all the way to that last 6 before you're allowed to breathe on the 2. Okay, so it's going to be something like Okay, so let's try that. So you're going to pulse the quite strongly for 6 and then breathe for 2. Let's try that. Good. And now for the 3 and 1. Same thing. Breathe like that. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so you should feel like that's starting to make your everything sort of wake up a bit there. I know it's 4 o'clock, so we shouldn't be too sleepy, but it is a Easter weekend, so maybe you had a lion. I don't know. And those of you from America, you probably are just waking up, so this will be a good one for you to wake up with. Okay, so the idea there is that the exchange of the air is free. There's no obstacles in the way. It's always in and out very easily. One exercise that I learned from, I think her name's Cheryl Porter. She's this fantastic sort of vocal coach on YouTube. And she has this exercise she does with her singers, where you say like s and ch, I think it is. And it's quite difficult with the sort of the tongue there, but you can feel this moving and then the air is coming in and out. So just try s and ch very quickly. You start to feel very enlivened. So that's a good little breathing thing you can try just before you play. Now we're going to try these bell tones then. So they appear on a low D in the music, and that's a little bit of a hard note to start with. So we're going to start a little bit higher, perhaps a G, just a low G then. And so we're going to think 6 beats with a nice diminuendo. Now, like a bell, there's a reverberation at the beginning. So when you hit the bell, it's boom. So you can think of your vibrato being quite wide and not slow, but just sort of medium, and then gradually going to a small vibration to nothing. Okay, so it's going to be boom, and then down. Technically, what happens is that the note will tend to go flat when you diminuendo. So what we need to make sure of is that the air goes down at the beginning when it's louder. So we're thinking of the lower lip going back, or the jaw. And then as you follow through with the airstream, your lower lip's going forward to make sure that the pitch doesn't drop. Okay, so let's just try a nice 6-beat G with a diminuendo. Now, we did touch on this. I think it was Rachel that asked about how to finish a note nice and beautifully at the end. And so this is a really good exercise to do for that. So does anybody notice perhaps that they get a little bit of a whistly sound at the end? That often, so when you get that whistle tone at the end, it's when your lips are too open, basically. So what we want to make sure is that the lower lip is always gradually moving forward and goes above the top lip, in front of the top lip, basically. If you keep your lips too open, you can see my is too open, and you hear the whistle. So that's when the air is going, it's getting very soft, but the air isn't quite going uniformly over the edge of the embouchure. So just make sure that that lower lip's really following through. So you can try just on your hand. and really feel that nice gradual lift of the air, and the shape is the same. Okay, let's try that again on the G. Okay, so you had the 2 beats rest between those. Now let's try the 3 as well. So 3 and then 1. So we're going to come in a little bit sooner than before. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, a little extension that I've done, if you look at in the handouts, if you've all got the handouts, they're on my website, rsmusic.net/flute warm-ups. You can download it for free. I've just extended this a little bit by gradually making the note values shorter and shorter. So we're going to start with a 6-beat note, then 2 lots of 3, then 3 2-beat notes, and then 6 1-beat notes, and about 12 quavers or 8 notes, as you say in America. So there's always a 6/4 in the bar, basically. So we'll start with our low G and just go through that process. I can show you once just to show you what I mean. Okay, so you're always doing this movement, and it becomes gradually quicker and quicker. So if you want to go from a mezzo forte to piano, it's going to be the same movement and adjustment for the pitch. But as the notes get shorter, you have to do it quicker. So it's quite a good training exercise for the embouchure. So should we try that together? And then we're going to go to the harmonic above and the harmonic above that as well, just as an extension as well. So let's just try on the low G first. 6, 2 lots of 3 beats, 3 lots of 2 beats, 6 those of 1 beat, and 12 of the quaver. And try and keep them connected with the sound. Don't let gaps appear. So you follow through and you come back. So it's this wave of sound. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Okay, now let's go up the octave. If you have any questions, by the way, just pop it in the chat and I'm happy to explain anything further. Okay, so up the octave, so next G above. Good. And then harmonic above that. I'm saying good, I can't hear you, but I'm sure you're doing wonderfully. So the harmonic above that will sound like a D. Not that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so which one do you find the easiest? The low register, the high register? Do some of your high notes drop down at the ends? And if so, that's just your airspeed is getting too slow, or it's your direction is not quite high enough. So just be careful that you're really paying attention all the way to the end of the note. And just breathe wherever you need to. I didn't mention that, but you will need to breathe at some point. But if you can, make sure there are some connected ones there. So breathe maybe every bar, and then you've got the connection of the ones in between. Oh, hi, Hazel, and hi. Much bigger sound and better bell. Yes, Diane's just said it looks like she's chewing for the quavers, and that's quite a good description. Or, yeah, it's a very sort of subtle movement, but that's a good description. As long as you're not like a sheep and you're chewing sideways, that's the wrong movement. It's forward and back, but I'm sure you're not chewing like a sheep. Okay, so let's go down to, since this is a warm-up, we're just gonna go down a couple more notes. So let's go down to an F and do the same thing. We'll start low, next octave, and the octave above, harmonic above. Ready, low Fs, 3, 4, 5. Good, octave higher. Good. And then the harmonic above that. So it's going to sound like a C. Good. Now let's try it on an E. Same thing. Lower E's first. 3, 4, 5. Okay, octave higher. 3, 4, 5. And then the harmonic above, it's going to be like a B. And then last one, low D. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. And then harmonic, it's going to be like an A, 3, 4. Okay, so you've gone the whole gamut, and you're now down to the actual note in the piece, which is the low D. How do I get this sound on the last D in the Mozart quartet? Which quartet and which movement? I'm sorry, I don't know quite which one you mean. Perhaps you could tell me. Could you show your profile as you play the quavers? Okay, so just like this. Do you see a little movement? Hopefully. It's not going to be huge, and it shouldn't be. It should just be enough to correct the pitch. So if I didn't do anything, the sound, you wouldn't hear clear bells, because I wouldn't be diminuendoing. So you'd hear something like very sustained, which is good when it's very fast, because you want your air a little bit more sustained, and then the tongue just interrupts that slightly. But yeah, so now if I do the no movement, but allow the pitch to drop a bit slower. You see, if I don't do anything, it drops. And that's why I wrote them on the harmonics above. You can even go to the next harmonic, because you can really tell when you're not quite supporting the sound or blowing in the right place, because it drops down. So a little bit of movement. And you get this liveliness, which is something that I aspire to have after studying with William Bennett, and that's how he taught about these bell tones, to get this real life in the sound. And it's not necessarily about vibrato, it's how the note is attacked and how it decays and how it connects, and that's when you get the life in the sound. Obviously when you're playing fast, you don't, so when you're doing the quavers, you're not really thinking of vibrato on each one, but it's more like one vibrato. Whoa, 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 da, 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 da. It's the same kind of thing. Okay, so that's the bell tones. I mean, I could do those for like an hour, but I'm sure you'll all drift off to sleep, and it's already 25 minutes. So let's go on to some finger coordination, which is the next little bit. And so this appears in the flute part on, I'm just going to have to bring up this a little bit so I can see it. Yeah, it appears in the flute part on an A. This one, and that's okay. It's not too difficult. In the violin section, it appears later on a B flat, and so it's a semitone below and above. And I'm using this lever thing. So this is where this is really useful. And you can just leave it down for the A, da, 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 and then lift for the C flat or the B natural, and then back down. So that's a little trick. I mean, you could practice it by lifting it when you go to A as well, if you really want to work the fingers, but for me, life is a bit too short for all of that, so I keep that down. Besides, when you put your A finger down, this one goes down as well, and that's what this lever does, so it really doesn't make any difference. So we're going to do semitone above and below, and then we're going to do, as an extension, a tone above and below. So instead of, it's going to be, okay, and we're going to go a little bit slower than what it would be in the orchestra, and you can practice it gradually getting faster. So just introduce these kind of things. So if you've got the handout, we'll start with the semitone one, and we'll do a few of those. So starting on an A, it's going to go down to G sharp, back to A, and these are all triplets, B flat, A, G sharp. So I'll just do a little bit. Okay, and then it's just a trill at the end. I've written it out in rhythm, but you can just trill. I don't think it's necessary to be too measured there. Okay, so it's going to be, so trill as fast as you like. Okay, so let's try that. And I've got a couple of tips on practicing it, but we'll just do a few slowly first. So let's start with the A one. And then on to B flats. So. Then on to B natural. Okay, good. And you can just keep going up and up and up, all the way up to the top. It's really good coordination practice. Let's try a little bit of whole tone as well. And Diane, I'll get to your question, I promise, in a minute. Okay, so let's do the whole tone ones. So starting on A, G, and then A, B. Okay, and then B flat to A flat. And then last one, B natural. And I did whole tones as well, particularly because of things like that where the C sharp can be a little bit sharp. So just make sure that that C sharp is in the right place. As you get a little bit higher, things start to get a little bit trickier with the coordination, and particularly D. That sort of one, D and E and D and C. So it's a really good one to practice semitone and whole tone, above and below, like it's written, basically. A couple of tips that you could try. So it's good to have this triplet feel, but it's also good to practice moving the fingers quickly. So I do a rhythm of quaver and 2 semiquavers. So dum da da dum da da dum da da dum. So we could try the first one again. So you're practicing those two quickly. Then you alternate it. So diddle-dum, diddle-dum, 2 semiquavers and a quaver. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum. Let's try that. And then you do triplets again, but this time 3 fast and then 3 slow. So diddle-a-dee-da-da, diddle-a-dee-da, something like that. And then the other way around. So fast, slow, and then fast. So that's just a little trick to get the muscle memory going. And just make sure that you're always playing with very light fingers, close to the keys. I don't know if I was, but that's what I aim to do anyway. So just have that as a sort of thing to watch out for when you're looking in the mirror or in the screen. Just check that your fingers are not overworking, going too high. Because when you find that one is going too high, or this one might be, this is my problem, is this one tends to go down here, it can lead to it being a little bit uneven. So all the fingers moving evenly will give you more of a chance of having an even rhythm. Okay, so that's the exercises, and you can just, in your own time, just extend those out so that you've got the whole range covered, but we just don't have time to do that. So a couple of questions there. Any tips on getting a clear start to the bottom D? So yes, so that's why I started on a note that was higher, because starting on that first thing is quite tricky. It's basically just the same as what you do for the higher notes. It's just you're thinking of your angle gradually a little bit lower as you go down the instrument. So don't overwork just because it's a low D. Don't push or tighten somewhere. And just think really open space inside. So if we squeeze too much or feel under pressure, we're going to get that kind of sound. So just think really open, but the air being very directed down. Think of a yawn, perhaps. And just like we were doing with the air, with the breathing, don't think of the tongue so much. Just it's how you're using your air that really matters. It's not the attack that you want with the tongue. Okay, so I hope that gives you some ideas for bottom notes. D major last movement at the very end. Okay, so it's just basically about getting a nice low D. Yes. So if you want it clear, a lot of people say like play with very slow air, like fogging up a mirror, but I find that just doesn't give you a clear sound. It gives you quite, it's a little bit puffy. So if that embouche is too open and you only get one kind of sound that way. But if your air is basically not going too slow, it's still pretty fast. So when you practice the harmonics, coming down again, dee dum bum, you're just reorganizing where the air is going. So it doesn't go super slow. That's what I would say. Rhythm alternations help with finger coordination. Yes, as we would do with Riker. Yeah, with any exercises you have. Famously, the Moyes 480 exercises, the scales and arpeggios, are all in triplets. So they start like. Something like that, I think. And then there's ones like. So you can do the rhythm alternations for that. And yeah, Riker, you could do that. Dotted rhythms, all sorts of things. But but make sure you go back to the correct rhythm and make sure that that's nice and even. The danger with doing the dum da da dum da da dum is that your triplets will become. Don't let that happen. We want that nice, even rhythm and even sound. So just keep your air going all the way through, not too bumpy. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks for everybody for coming. That's nice of you to come. I think it's like 37 minutes now, so that's probably a good place to stop. If you have any questions or requests, don't hesitate to, on my website, you can just get in touch with me and make a request. I know that somebody wants to do a little bit of Schubert variations or something, or any piece that you want to have a warm-up for, I can help with that and design a warm-up for that. Any technical problems that you are having that you want help with, I can also design a warm-up around that. It's quite easy to do. Yeah. Feels like I'm holding my breath as I blow for the low D. Yeah, don't hold your breath. That's good. Okay, so I will. Oh, the Ooh Fantasy. Okay, I will think of something. So next week is next Friday again at 4 p.m. UK time. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good Easter weekend.